Heyo everybody, what's going on? It's Sherrick here, and I've got the 2015 WWE Elimination Chamber reaction and results video. Going to get right into it. We'll start with the kickoff show. Stardust beats Zack Ryder. They brought that one in, and then the Miz TV segment. It was just kind of a vehicle for Daniel Bryan to say that his career is not over, which I'm cautiously optimistic about because I know that the human body is what it is, and where the spirit may be willing, the flesh may be weak, as they say. So I'm cautiously optimistic that he will return. Maybe he can alter whatever he needs to do to make sure that he has a long career in World Wrestling Entertainment. But at this point, I'm kind of just going, well, we'll wait and see. So the first match was that was on the card was the Tag Team Championship Elimination Chamber match. There were some interesting spots in this one. There was a bit where Kalisto was like resting on top of the New Day's pod, and he had his leg stuck in there because they pulled his leg down or whatever, and it was just odd. As a side note, Xavier Woods was announced as the third member of the New Day, so essentially all three of them were defending their championship. It wasn't just like a standard two, so they had a 3-on-2 on whatever advantage, which I wish I would have seen them take more liberties with, other than the big suplex spot where everyone else that was still in the match triple suplex the New Day. But and there was a bit where they threw Xavier Woods back in his pod, but it was like they couldn't have locked him in there because the lock is on the outside. So it was just like they just shut the door, and I'm sure and Big E just like went and opened the door back and let him out. It was weird. Primetime Players got some love in that one. The Ascension got some love. The Lucha Dragons looked all right. Matadores were kind of the weakest team in the fight, I would say, even though they had Torito basically waiting on top of the cell until they were released, and then he just did a Hurricane on Cesaro, which I thought was weird, but whatever. There's no DQ. So the New Day win this one. Kofi hit Trouble in Paradise, which I haven't seen him use in a while. I think they need to come up with a new finish because the big ending / Kofi doing whatever he does, he really just jumps off and then just kind of like pats them on the back. It's weird. The New Day win because they like dogpile on top of Titus O'Neil to eliminate the Primetime Players last. So there's that. The next match on the card was the Divas Championship Triple Threat match. I won't talk on it too much other than to say that I'm not sure what happened, but it didn't live up to its potential. I wanted to reverse my prediction once I found out that Nikki Bella was like something along the lines of maybe like 2 weeks or 3 weeks away from breaking the reign for longest Divas champion, which told me right away that she was going to retain, and she did. There was a couple of interesting moments in there where you could hear spots being called. There was a couple of interesting moments where moves were being missed, like not even just like missed, but like unintentionally missed. Like there was an enziguri that just looked really sloppy and just stuff like that. And the inverted Hurricane Rana was probably the most infamous spot, but that takes two to tango. So those that are saying that it's all Naomi's fault, just hold your horses there on that one. You can see that like in preparation for it, there's a bit of a balance loss. And Paige actually loses one of Naomi's legs. She's supposed to hold on to both of them so that she has something to go over with. And she didn't. Maybe she lost her grip. Maybe she just lost presence of where it was. I don't know. But she kind of ended up landing on Naomi, which was it looked real painful, and that kind of led into a sloppily, hasty rack attack, and then the victory. So she took care of that way. I was kind of, like I said, potential what it could have been just wasn't there. So unfortunate, but what are you gonna do? The next match on the card was the champion versus champion match between Kevin Owens and John Cena, which I actually was a little curious about because I went, oh, they're going to put this in the middle of the card. They're not going to put it a little further up because you still got the match between Neville and Bo Dallas coming up, and you've got the Intercontinental Title Elimination Chamber match coming up, but you're going to put it right here. Hey, okay, that's really my only gripe about it, but it was an amazing match. Kevin Owens shows what he's always shown, is that he's an amazing worker. John Cena actually, helped out and did his part and made him look like $1,000,000, and he made John look strong and credible, which is what you want out of somebody like John Cena. Because my personal gripe with Cena is that it always seems like he never really has to put in effort. Like he gets beat up and then he decides that he's going to do his shoulder blocks, and from then he can just sail by using the AA. I don't know how I feel about the springboard stunner, by the way, because it just seems like it's telegraphed from a mile away, especially considering somebody like John Cena, who never really uses a springboard style move, would go to do it. It seems like he would just want to roll out of the way and watch him fall on his ass, but that's just me. Anyway, Owens looked amazing. I'm a little worried about them doing a Money in the Bank rematch in 2 weeks. It sniffs a little bit like the whole Rock Cena thing, except obviously in the span of 2 weeks instead of a whole year, where Owens fires the first shot and gets the victory, where John Cena turns on and then, gets an easy victory to redeem himself or what have you. So I'm a little worried about that, but we'll see what happens because it's only 2 weeks away. And I will be reviewing that pay-per-view as well. It's one of my favorites just because of the Money in the Bank ladder match. To touch on that real fast, they said that they have the first 6 people announced. And this happened later in the night, but I'm just going to talk about it now since I brought it up. And there are names in there that make me skeptical. And they said also that those aren't the only 6 because there's going to be only one Money in the Bank ladder match this year. I guess they're going to throw more people in. They have Kofi Kingston in, and Neville is in, which I think those guys are going to be in there strictly to have the high-flying, awesome spots. Roman Reigns and Randy Orton. Reigns is probably telegraphed. I was talking to somebody on Twitter, and I agree with them when they said that it's probably going to be Roman Reigns winning, because they seem to have the championship revolve around the Shield, which doesn't bother me. But they've also got Sheamus in it, and this happened after the match that came a little bit later, the Elimination Chamber Intercontinental title match. And I went, so wait, you guys knew about putting Sheamus in? Like it's like he just lost this match. Sorry, spoilers. He just lost this match, and now he's getting rewarded with Money in the Bank. It just smacked a little weird. It was just like, oh, okay, well, there you go. Is what it is. Anyway, let's move on further in the pay-per-view. The match after the champion versus champion match was Bo Dallas and Neville. Neville picks up the one with the red arrow, but the sales were just kind of out of the arena and out of the fans at home at that point, because we just saw that amazing match between the two of these guys that had some build and some real story behind it. And then it was like, oh, by the way, these guys also had a feud a year ago in NXT, and they linked that, but it was like, this isn't that anymore. They're both on the main roster. They both went their separate ways. I'm glad that he's stuck with Neville winning, but it just felt like, what are you gonna do? Next match was the Intercontinental Championship Elimination Chamber match, and it was just, I really, yikes. That's all I can say was yikes. Mark Henry ended up being your surprise entrant, so it's nice to see Mark Henry come back. He's always been a consummate professional, a great performer, despite, the short breaks that he doesn't unfortunately get to go his way. I mean, just look at his career, you know what I mean? Because, I mean, they really had a monster heel on their hands, and they just didn't utilize him right, is what I'm trying to say. It was just a weird Intercontinental match. There was a bit where Barrett threw, I think it might have been Ziggler or somebody, into Mark Henry's pod before he was actually scheduled to be released. And so Mark Henry was able to leave. And so he just entered into the match just out of nowhere. It was a kitschy spot, but it is what it is. Ryback is your winner, so I failed to predict that one properly. So they put the belt on Ryback, and he even got a little a rub from Daniel Bryan coming in and actually doing the feed me more bit to get the crowd into it. The crowd was actually really into Ryback, which was a little interesting. But he takes the win here, so it's going to be interesting to see what he does as the Intercontinental Champion. Because they've kind of messed him up by doing the whole heel turn and losing to Mark Henry at Mania, and so now it's nice to see them try and get him back on the right track. And then, I believe, yes, the final match of the night, the main event, was the WWE World Heavyweight Championship match between Dean Ambrose and Seth Rollins. It was a good match, but it just felt like it was too late. I mean, if they had rearranged it around a little bit and put the Owens Cena match directly before this one, the crowd probably would still been riding the buzz of that, and it would have felt a little bit more electric and alive. But unfortunately, they just shuffled it around weird, so it just felt like we were still reeling from the train wreck that was the previous IC title match, and before that, Bo Dallas and Neville, and I mean, those guys did a great job, but it was just the wind was kind of out, because it was like, how do you follow the champion versus champion match we just watched? So that happened. I felt like Dean Ambrose was relying a little too heavy on his rebound clothesline move, where he kind of like leans back into the ropes between the middle and the top rope, and then he comes up with a clothesline. I think I saw him do it like a total of 5 times in the match. He maybe only connected with maybe 1 or 2, maybe even 3, but there were a couple of times where I was like, again, he's going for it again? Like, it shows the resilience, I guess, but it was like telegraphing at that point. I mean, you're not going to try and do the same move over and over again. Your opponent's going to expect it. That's just my thought process on that. The finish comes with Seth Rollins hiding behind a referee and actually pulling him into the way as Dean Rollins just throws his body to the wind and just tries to take out Seth Rollins. So the referee gets knocked down. By the way, J&J Security and Kane just interjected all over this match, which is good or bad. It can be good or bad depending on how you look at it. It kind of annoyed me because it was just like, I kind of just wanted to watch these two just work their chemistry in the ring. And I get it that, you know, you want Seth Rollins to look like that kind of champion that needs help to retain his title. But when you have those two guys that have such great chemistry, I was just like, just let me watch these two just fight. Just let me watch them fight. I don't really want to see people constantly distracting Dean Ambrose. Just let it happen. Anyway, the finish happens with the ref being pulled in the way, and so he gets knocked out. Seth Rollins floors Dean Ambrose, goes for a Phoenix Splash, does the front roll because Dean isn't there anymore. Dean actually kicks him in the gut and hits Dirty Deeds. And the second referee comes down and then counts to 3, and Dean Ambrose is your new World Heavyweight Champion. Or is he? They did the whole bit with like the name bar coming across the screen saying new World Heavyweight Champion Dean Ambrose, and his music was playing and he's celebrating and everyone's like half in a state of shock and half like elated. And then the first referee, the original referee, comes around and says, no, Dean Ambrose wins this match. And you can hear this actually by disqualification because Seth pulled the referee in the way. So Dean Ambrose is still the winner, but he's not the World Heavyweight Champion. And he reacts to this by essentially just stealing the World Heavyweight Championship with an assist from Roman Reigns, who did not turn heel. I won't say much more on it than that, other than it was an interesting way to end the pay-per-view, and it's going to be interesting to see what they do with Money in the Bank only 2 weeks away on the WWE Network. So if you agree with my thoughts, please leave them in the comments below. If you disagree, also leave those in the comments below. Like the video, please, if you enjoyed it, and share it, show your friends. That's the best way to let me know that I'm doing a great job. And be sure to check on this channel for more healthy doses of delicious, nutritious content. And I will see you guys in about a week or so for the preview video for WWE Money in the Bank. But until then,